Hi and welcome to WEH Videos. My name is Skip and this is part 2 on my series on how to land an airplane in X-Plane 10. And today I've set the simulator up for this landing with a 10-knot crosswind. So it's going to be a little more difficult. Now I suggest you watch the first video if you're not familiar with landing. Now remember last time the first thing we did was check the ATIS report to check the weather. But I want to show you what you can do here and how you can get this little box up here that displays the weather. We have here our altimeter setting 3009. We have winds 8.69 and they're coming from a 285 direction. So the winds are coming this way on us. And you get there by going to settings, data input output, and clicking on this little box here for the weather. You can unclick that and now the box is gone. So that's just a nice way to get a weather report if you don't have an ATIS available at the airport you're flying into. Alright, let's just do a quick review. So we're on a long final approach, long because of this tutorial, and we need to set up the airplane for landing. So we want our airspeed to be around 65 knots for the Cessna 172, and we need to set our trim for a smooth vertical descent, and that's roughly around 500 feet per minute. We're going to start with the throttle set at about 1,500 RPM. And now remember, we learned that we control the airspeed of the airplane with the yoke or the joystick, and the vertical speed with the throttle. With this crosswind, we'll need to angle the airplane into the wind to stay on course, or we're going to crab the airplane into the wind. Now I've pulled the view back here a little bit so you can watch the controls as I use them after we get everything trimmed. And I've also added right here a little trim indicator so you can see what I'm doing with the trim wheel. Now this moves ever so slightly, so you're going to have to watch that kind of closely. You will notice that I make very small yoke, throttle, and trim adjustments. There's no hard pulling back on the yoke or pushing it forward, and no slamming the throttle forward and back to get the airplane where I want it to be. I don't want to have a constant pressure on the yoke either, so I don't want to be pushing the nose of the airplane down or holding it back with the yoke. I need to get the airplane trimmed properly. If I have to do that, if I have to pull back or push down, then there's something wrong with the trim and I need to make a correction. Now you might want to watch this video several times and pay attention to each of the controls as I use them, because these are going to be very subtle movements. Watch how little I use the yoke and the small adjustments I make with the throttle and sometimes with the trim. If you trim the airplane correctly, it can almost fly itself. That is, almost. So if I do this right, I will be making very small adjustments with the yoke and the throttle and the trim wheel for a very smooth descent. Well, let's give it a try. Alright, here we go. We're going to add some flaps. Get our throttle around 1,500. We're going to trim and trim some more. Lower the nose to get our speed up to 65. We're also adjusting for the wind. I'm going to push that nose down some more, so I got to trim a little more to get the pressure off the yoke. There we go. So now we have 65 and we're looking pretty good. And so now we've got our trim set pretty much where we want it. We want to line up with the runway, and you'll notice that we are headed out in this direction to keep lined up with the runway because of this 10-knot wind we have going. And now I'm just going to control our descent with the throttle. Remember, I told you want to get that spot on the runway, so I picked where the tire marks are. Keep that about 2 inches above the dash or a spot on the windshield. You got a bug on the windshield, put it there, and we're going to keep that right there. And now it's just a matter of very subtle turning the yoke. If you notice, it's barely turning. I haven't touched the throttle much. Remember our VASI lights, red over white, we're all right. White over white, white over white means we'll fly all night, and red over red means you're dead. So it looks like we're coming in pretty good. Maybe a little high, drop the throttle so we descend a bit. A little more power. Now keeping that spot right here in the same place. Now we know we can make the runway. We're going to kill the power. We're still crabbing to the left. So now we want to straighten the airplane out with the rudder, some right rudder. And now we're going to turn that left wing down into the wind. Keep that right rudder going, and there we have it. Now I still have to maintain a pretty good right rudder here because we have a 10-knot wind blowing. If I took my foot off the right rudder, we would make a right turn. And so just like that. And the reason for that is that we do have, as you can see, our windsock here, it's blowing across. We've got a pretty good breeze going. The reason for that is we have our vertical stabilizer here, and the wind is coming this way, and it's blowing pretty hard on that. Cessna's a pretty light airplane. It's going to blow that tail to the right. So that's it for part 2 landing. If you like this, please click the like button. If you'd like to leave a comment, that would be great. And thank you so much for watching, and God bless.